Delightful. Thank you, Chris, for remembering to do that. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Jen, can I share something with you really quick?
Sure.
That person who you referred to me, I met with her and her 3 kids in the park on Monday and spent 3 hours with her. I've given her a realtor's name, schools, OT, all of that. And she hugged me and cried when she left. So anyway.
Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is a community, right? We gotta help each other out. So thank you. I really appreciate that. All right, I'm going to share my screen and I'll make sure I get all your shining faces back so I can see everybody. And for whatever reason, they've changed Zoom a little bit, and it's making me a little bonkers because I can't do the things that I used to do with it.
Like what?
Well, like see all the people.
Oh.
And now I can. So my apologies. I try and be a little bit more together than this, but apparently today is that day. So welcome to the October Policy Forum. We've got a lot to talk about this month. And some exciting things coming up. So without further ado, though, I will turn it over to Tom Donaldson just for any updates on the organization, anything that we should be aware of coming up or going on.
Hey, Jen, how are you? Hello, fellow advocates. Good to see everyone as always. This is the time of year where we're thinking about next year and looking at the resources we have and the work we're going to do. And I just want to share with you that what you can count on from us is the expanded Navigator program. The Navigator is so important. I think all of you have used it, or our team, and they have been invaluable to the community. And so we're going to be expanding the Navigator and the services they provide. Of course, strengthening the affiliate network. I think maybe one of the things there that's going to be so important is that working with select affiliates to make sure that you're positioned to be grantees and to receive funding when the Respect Act passes, so that you can formal manner do the work that you know how to do so well in your service areas, in your states, in your regions, nationally even. So a lot of assistance from FASD United in that area. It's going to be really important. I think also all of our new programs are intended and will help to increase diagnostic capacity and increase our policy work, not just in promoting, but really changing policies for the better. And lastly, I'll say that one of the important themes is that the voices from the community, we have to work and will be working to make sure that those are the voices and perspectives that influence the use of funds, public and private dollars in this field. So that's something that as Susan Ellsworth and Jan and Carlson as our chair came on is increasingly important to what we do. So you can look for all of those things to be part of our strengthened and expanded programs next year. So good. I can't wait to hear now what's happening in the policy world. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks. All right. So just want to put a little reminder up there about the 9th International Research Conference on Adolescents and Adults with FASD, and let you know that there will be a call for posters, poster abstracts coming up here very, very soon. We're super excited about that. Definitely check it out and see if that's something that you might be able to attend. And then last couple of days to complete the education and FASD survey. It's an important one because we're going to use that to help build policy once we get the Respect Act passed. And so if you have not filled it out yet, if you are a parent, caregiver, or person with FASD, that's important. And if you know of any educators, whether they know about FASD or not, it would be a great thing to have them complete the survey. That gives us more data points to to work off of and to be able to help build policy off of as well. So it just strengthens our case. So appreciate everybody who's done that so far and who has helped promote that. That's going to be open through the 31st of October. So on to the Respect Act. We've got some updates. And for those of you that are new, I do see some new faces here, and I really appreciate you joining us. Just want to give a quick overview on the Respect Act 2.0. Really, it is focused on providing supports and services to individuals with FASD through building state and tribal systems, which would give money to the states to be able to begin looking at their systems of care and how FASD can be integrated into it. And then through the Centers for Excellence and allowing for knowledge dissemination. All this great research, all this great information has been put together over the last 50 years, but we're all scrambling to find it, right? And so having a central place where that can be found, where TA or technical assistance can be given on how states can best approach FASD, I think that's going to be really important. So getting the Center for Excellence back and just education, awareness, and services in the community. So where we're at right now, you'll notice there's a bit of a log jam on step 5. And we're working really hard and hopefully can get some traction this month in moving past that. But for those of you that are perhaps new to this, we have 2 years to get this bill passed. So we are coming in on the end of year 1, and January would start year 2. And, you know, I think we're making better headway than we were last legislative session. And I can show you some stats on that Chris Melfi in our office put together. But we still got a ways to go. So in October, we did gain some new supports of note. Pete Sessions is an important one because we are skewing very Democrat in the House. And we really, really need to add some more Republicans in the House to our list of sponsors. And we've got some information on how you can do that a little further on. But congratulations to everybody who did the outreach to get those new co-sponsors. Looking at our states, so these are the areas where we've had some traction, and we've met in the Senate. And a reminder, in each state you've got 2 senators, so it's kind of color coded in terms of you know, how many are sponsoring. We've got a couple of states where 2 are sponsoring. We've got a couple of states where 2 are met with. So this just gives you an idea, but there's some big patches of the country here where we could get some meetings in. And I believe Utah, oh, sorry, that's not Utah. Yeah, Utah might have another color added to it very shortly that I just heard about.
So Minnesota, Maine, the M states are leading the pack with 2 senators. I want to issue a challenge to the other, to the yellow, well, we have 1 yellow state, and those that have met to add your, you know, color and get more. We need more senators. So
definitely. And then, whoop. Let's see, previous slide. Oh my goodness, how sad is that? Okay. I must have missed the House one. I apologize. Or it might be later down in the presentation. But from a support breakdown, we have currently 7 co-sponsors in the Senate and 39 in the House. And this was the stat I was talking about. 5 months after the Respect Act was introduced last session, we had 6 in the Senate and 19 in the House. So we are doing substantially better than we were last legislative session in terms of gathering co-sponsors. And that's exciting, because I think sometimes when you do this and you're doing it over and over and you're listening to me talk about it and Susan talk about it over and over, and you're sitting in on the Zoom calls with your legislators over and over, you're thinking, my gosh, is this actually doing anything? Is this going anywhere? And this is proof that, yeah, actually, it is going somewhere and it is doing something. There's the house. I knew that was in there. I knew Chris prepped that. So these are the areas, again, where we've had meetings and we've got sponsors. Now, some of these districts, because you have one rep that represents like a small area in your state. Some of those districts are so small, you can't even really see where they're turned yellow or blue. And on this map, yellow is a sponsor, blue is a where we've had a meeting. On the other map, you know, in order to, there was a question in the chat about what do we need to get our state to turn yellow? Another meeting. These meetings, it's not one and done. We don't meet with them once. Sometimes we'll meet with them 3, 4, 5, 12, 20 times, and until they finally understand or see how this fits into their own legislative agenda. So we also have been doing a lot of outreach to those who have co-sponsored in the last legislative session. So on the Senate side, we had 6 that have returned and co-sponsored again. We have 4 co-sponsors on the Senate that co-sponsored last legislative session that haven't yet. And I really like to think that that is because we just need to do a little bit more outreach, not because there's any opposition to it. On the most part in the Senate, it's fairly straightforward in terms of getting support for it. We have only had 26 of our 74 total co-sponsors we got in the 117th return in the House side. And that is just the meetings. We've got to get the House meetings in. And it does take time and it does take effort and it does take energy. And this is where we've added Chris to our team. So if you need some help or support with getting outreach, we can help you with that. So what's the logjam? What's going on? And there's been a lot, right? So the big thing is we haven't had, up until about an hour ago, a speaker in the House. So things have kind of come to a grinding stop. We do have a new speaker, like I said, just as of maybe an hour ago. But that's caused all legislation on the House side to come to a grinding halt, which means the Senate can't operate and move as much either. We've had all kinds of issues come up in the meantime. I mean, it's been a bit of a nutty Congress. We also have a looming shutdown. You know, if they don't pass a continuing resolution or get legislation through by the 17th, things are going to shut down. And we'll be dealing with that. And then, you know, we'll find out if they're going to do a continuing resolution until Christmas, or there's rumors of a year-long continuing resolution. So this really is just a weird Congress to get bills passed through. They're not passing single bills. They are passing package bills or vehicle bills. And we've kind of talked about this in months past. And so getting on a vehicle for us is of critical importance, which we're halfway there. We're on the vehicle on the Support Act in the Senate, but nothing's happened in the House for us to be able to jump on and get that to happen in the House. And so now that the House might be doing some movement and doing some work, you know, we have a better opportunity of that. But yeah, it's been a little nutty. So,
well, and Jen and I were talking about this before as we were going through the slides, and I think back to when we started with the 117th Congress, and we had a slide that talked about all the crazy things in it. And in my memory, I don't know if we've had a more crazier time with Congress than we've had since we've been working on the Respect Act. And we also talked about how, because we've been at most of those meetings with you all, and we can see the change from when we first started with those meetings, and with our sponsors and with the members and their staff, much more receptive from the very beginning. So it's, you know, like I said, I've been involved in this business all my adult life, and it's not easy, but it's worthwhile, and it's something that, you know, you guys are really making a difference. I just want to put that out there.
Absolutely. And so with that in mind, we thought that perhaps a pep talk was in order.
I think we all need a pep talk. The world needs you to stop being boring. Yeah, you. Boring is easy. Everybody can be boring, but you're gooder than that. Life is not a game, people. Life isn't a cereal either. Well, it is a cereal. And if life is a game, aren't we on the same team? I mean, really, right? I'm on your team, be on my team. This is life, people. You got air coming through your nose. You got heartbeat. That means it's time to do something. A poem. Two roads diverged in the woods, and I took the road less traveled. It hurt, man! Really bad. Rocks, thorns, and glass. My pants broke. Wah! Not cool, Robert Frost. But what if there really were two paths? I want to be the one that leads to awesome. It's like that dude Journey said, don't stop believing unless you dream stupid. Then you should get a better dream. I think that's how it goes. Get a better dream and keep going. Keep going, and keep going. Will Michael Jordan have quit? Well, he didn't quit. No, he retired. Yeah, he retired. But before that, in high school, what if he quit when he didn't make the team? He would have never made Space Jam. And I love Space Jam. What will be your Space Jam? What will you create will make the world awesome? Nothing if you keep sitting there. That's why I'm talking to you today. This is your time. This is my time. It's our time. We can make every day better for each other. If we're all on the same team, let's start acting like it. We got work to do. We can cry about it, or we can dance about it. We were made to be awesome. Let's get out there. I don't know everything. I'm just a kid. But I do know this. It's everybody's duty to give the world a reason to dance. So get to it. You've just been pep talked. Create something that will make the world awesome. Play ball.
Thought we needed a pep talk, and I think that's he's a much better person to give it than me. So, oops, let's not start that again. So what we really want to do now is a call to action. We received an email from Senator Klobuchar's office, and in it, she requested that we do a big push in the Senate because they are hopefully getting ready to move the Support Act, and that will help us because we're in on that bill. And so what I'd like to do now is share, she gave us a list of legislators that we need to approach right away and do an additional push. And even if you've already met with them, these are legislators we need to meet with again. So we're going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to share the screen of the legislators she gave us. And if this is a legislator you think you can reach out to, raise your hand, throw it in the chat, and throw your email address in the chat and let Chris know. And we're going to take a list of that, and we'll follow up with you and get those meetings set, because this was definitely our call to action. We need to do this. We're going to take some additional steps to get this done as well, and I'll talk about that shortly. But on the Senate side, this is mission critical we need to get this done. So sharing screen, hopefully it doesn't remove my ability to see all of you. There we go. All right. So just starting off at the top, do I have anybody from Wisconsin on the call here today? All right. Any connections to Wisconsin? All right.
And we had her last Congress.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So West Virginia, anybody from West Virginia here? Nope. Okay. Any of the Hawaiians in the house? It's a little early for the Hawaiians, but sometimes Gigi makes it. So no. Okay. And we just got Tina Smith this morning. How about Alaska? I know we've got some strong advocates there, so we can reach out to them. Carl Hoven is on the list. So Terry, you're going to reach out to Dan Sullivan in Alaska.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
I've got Ty's contact info, reach out to him directly. But I'm working to meet with Senator Hoven. And I have a team of people who are prepared to come to Bismarck to do that. So
perfect.
Yes, we can do that.
Wonderful. Marshall, Senator Marshall, I know that those of you in Kansas have already met with him a number of times, but we need Marshall on the bill. And he's made noises about it in the past. So we'll be reaching out to Kansas folks there. Rick Scott in Florida. I know we've got some strong Florida advocates. It's okay if there's multiple people in the state reaching out, but we need him. And Klobuchar's office and Murkowski agreed with this. They rated them in terms of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. These are all important, but these are our number one. Like in the next week, we need to get a hold of them and talk to them about it. Oh, Whitney, you've got a meeting with Katie Britt's office on Friday. Brilliant. Thank you. Let's see, Texas, I'm talking to you. Let's see if we can make another round at Ted Cruz. I know he canceled on your meeting when you were in DC. So let's meet with him again. South Dakota. I don't know anybody from South Dakota. Do you have family in South Dakota? Do you have connections in South Dakota? Terry's got some connections. Carl's got some connections in South Dakota. Perfect. We need some outreach there. Utah. I know there's a parent group in Utah that I can reach out to, but having some advocates that are willing to do some outreach there would be fantastic. We have met with Lee earlier this year because we didn't want a repeat of last year's performance, and believe we have that figured out. But and thank you, Annette. You've got a niece in South Dakota. Definitely need some support in Utah. Washington, my home. I have met with Marie and Cantwell, but definitely additional outreach other than Jen would be fantastic to connect with Marie and Cantwell's offices. Pennsylvania, I know there's a group from Pennsylvania that's getting involved, and I believe they had a meeting. They're getting a meeting set up with Senator Fetterman, but any pushes in Pennsylvania would be fantastic. Ohio, if there's anybody here from Ohio, we need Sherrod Brown. And then Illinois, Senator Durbin. Anybody from Illinois on the call?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks, Robin.
I will try. He's Michelle Traeger and I were talking about his office. He's a hard.
Well, he was on the bill for the 110th Congress and maybe other Congresses. I'd have to go back and look. So I don't know why he should be a hard sell.
So
I will do my fair.
I think reaching out to some, you notice there's an email address there. That's their health staffer. That's the email address of their health staffer. So that rather than going on their website and filling out the form to get a meeting, go directly
Okay.
to those email addresses, and that makes a huge difference in terms of outreach. So Gary Peters from Michigan. Anybody from Michigan on the call? Okay. Corey Booker in New Jersey. Jonathan, I know you are limited in what you are able to do given your position, but if you have any parents, families, or caregivers in New Jersey that are able to do that, we would really appreciate the outreach. I think you said something, Jonathan, but I think you're muted. So I think what I heard was no problem, Jen, I'm on it.
No problem, Jen, I'm on it. We're working on it. We have we've met, and we have some of our perinatal cooperatives. We have them throughout the state, and we're trying to get the members around, encouraging some activities and getting some of our congressmen and senators involved. There has been some outreach, but unfortunately our members have not gotten some callback. So
okay, fantastic. Well, let us know if we can help at all in terms of doing a bit of a rah-rah for your perinatal cooperative. And then also we have the name of the legislative staffer, the Health LA. And sometimes getting those meetings booked directly with the Health LA is a heck of a lot easier than going through the scheduler. And it sounds like Kat from Kansas has family in New Jersey. She's from there and has lots of family there. So that's a good point of connection if I can put the two of you in contact. Great, we're making headway here. Louisiana, I know Louisiana is doing a lot of work on FASD. I don't know if anybody from Louisiana is on the call, but Senator Kennedy would be a good one to get.
Hey, Jen, it's Liz. I am on the call and I am from Louisiana. How are you?
Good. Hi, Liz.
So I actually just heard back from Kennedy's office this morning. They can see us on November 7th. It's not Hannah Cornwell, though. She's gone. It's a Connor I don't know if it's Dominique or Dominique. It's I can't determine if it's a G or a Q. But anyway, they responded back and said we could meet on the 7th. So I would like some backup on that. So I know that you said Chris is in DC. So if he could mark that down and we'll connect after, that would be awesome.
That would be fantastic. Thank you, Liz. Awesome.
I also have an appointment set up for Scalise's office on the next day. And then we also have one set up for Julia Letlow, Representative Letlow's office. And I know she's on the education committee, and that's kind of why I grabbed her, because I figured with, that could be potentially of interest for her too.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Thanks, Liz.
So Liz, do you know the new speaker from Louisiana, Rick Johnson?
So I actually have met him when he was in Louisiana. He was in the Louisiana legislature. So I have met him. If Chris can help me get in on that one, I'm happy to go also. So I do know a lot of the Louisiana legislators. So there may be some connections there to be able to get with him.
Right.
Excellent. All right, New Mexico. I know there's a group in New Mexico meeting working on that meeting, but please don't let this stop you. Let's see, our dream team from North Carolina, Tillis. We need to keep hitting Tillis hard. And then California, our friends in California, Padilla and Ernst. So those are our big targets for right now. That doesn't mean that if you have other legislators, don't reach out to them. What it does mean is that if you have a priority to set, if there's one email you can send, this is it. So there was a question, I think, Debbie, you had on Washington State. Continue to reach out and have meetings. It doesn't matter where in the state you live, particularly for the senators. The senators cover the whole state. So It doesn't matter if you live in Eastern Washington. It doesn't matter if you live in Western Washington. They'll probably actually listen to you more if you live in Eastern Washington because they're not as popular there. So I think your voice might actually carry more weight in that regard. So, all right, now we're gonna switch it up. And again, I apologize for all the bouncing around. We've got, like I said, a lot on the go this time. So that was our call to action. The other piece that we've been dealing with on the House side, and somebody mentioned this earlier on, that some of the pushback we're getting, particularly from the House Republicans, is on the such sums as are necessary. And we added that into the bill because we couldn't get it through the Senate. The Republicans in the Senate wouldn't pass it unless we had it as such sums as are necessary in the last legislative session. Now in the House, they don't want it to be such sums as are necessary. So we just got this email, the black box there, and I apologize if you can't read the yellow part. It says such sums as are necessary. This is an email that one of the advocates got back from a staffer, and saying that they are concerned about the bill because it has such sums are necessary, and they'd like to see a CBO score. And so we do have a response to that. In talking to Murkowski and Klobuchar's office, they did get a CBO on it last year, and a CBO basically says, like, how much is this going to cost? It's a budget analysis. The CBO response is below there. So, and we'll have this written out for you so you can kind of copy and paste it if you need to, if you get that response. But there is a CBO on it, and it would not affect direct spending or revenues. Any spending would be subject to future appropriations. So that's some language that you can use to help, if you get that objection, here's your response, right? It's not perfect because it's not on this bill specifically, but the language is net the same in terms of authorizing language. And it lets you know that this bill is being thought of in a fiscally conservative way. And that may help push some of the R's in the House over to co-sponsoring. You can also mention that Sessions just signed on.
From Texas, yeah.
Sid, you had a question about, does that rule out taps on existing programs that should be focused on FASD? Meaning that, I'm not quite sure I understand the question, Sid. And I may just be reading it wrong. My apologies.
The point is that a number of agencies and programs could be doing more for FASD with existing resources that are flexible, where there's discretionary funding or federal instructions to focus more on FASD than those agencies are now doing. That's existing funding. And it's not relying on a new bill or new funding. It says that we should be scouring the federal government. We've identified more than a dozen agencies in California that are or should be working on FASD issues, and a similar effort in the federal government could tap a number of sources, some of which, like CDC and NIAAA, are somewhat focused on FASD, but not to the extent we'd recommend.
Yeah, and that's it. I'll just say that this just applies to this bill, and the intent behind the Respect Act is to do exactly what you're talking about, the states to do that, because, and that's the message that we try to give all the time. You guys are funding a lot of programs that if they had FASD informed prevention intervention, you wouldn't need to have a lot of money. So this is kind of an insider thing with the politics that are going on and so that's why so it wouldn't have any impact on what you're doing on the state level, or what we do for other bills, but but to get this language through it, and to get sponsors, this will be helpful. I don't know if that's more confusing than it was before.
But I think Sid's is a good point, and that is something that we've been working on, is having appointments with the federal agencies and talking to them about ways they can get involved with FASD without legislation. And that is really, a model that California's put together that I think and other states could really copy, is, what can you get done just by meeting with the agencies?
Yeah.
How can you get them without legislation to focus focus a lot on FASD? And so that's another avenue of advocacy that is absolutely valid and really important. I think it's not a one-trick pony kind of situation where we do one thing. But yeah, I think that was a really good, thank you, Sid, for clarifying that. All right, so now that you've had a chance to kind of stare at the response language, and like I said, we will have that posted. But I think that's an important thing to come back with as a response, just that, CBO was done on the bill language, and that it would not affect direct spending or revenues, and any spending would be subject to future appropriations. So our next call to action is on the House side, and looking at our, and this will go a little quicker because we've met with a lot of these, but we do need to follow up and meet again with particularly the majority on the health subcommittee. And our ask is that they co-sponsor, and that they mark up the RESPECT Act. They've already marked up the Support Act, so we can't get them to put it in there, but can they mark up the RESPECT Act? Can they include it in a different vehicle bill? And so going through this list, and again, we can reach out to folks that we know in these states, in these areas, to connect with the legislators. And if these legislators aren't in your district, like if you don't live there, but you're part of an organization that serves the entire state, it's okay to go after these. It's okay to contact them and talk about the work that you do in their area. Likely, Mr. Guthrie will not co-sponsor because he's the chair, but the rest of them really are folks that should know about the bill. And so, again, I'm just going to go down the list, and if you can flag it for Chris, if you have a connection that looks like Annette and Rachel already can connect with Olber Nolte in California. So I'll start at the bottom of the list and work my way up. Anybody from Iowa or have a connection to somebody in Iowa? That's a state we didn't have much traction with last go round. So if you have relatives, family, live there.
Yeah, we had a group that got together to meet with Grassley's staff. I can reconnect with them.
Great.
Having grown up in Iowa.
All right, Tennessee, if there's anybody from Tennessee that can follow up with Harshbanger, I'll get our Pennsylvania folks on Joyce. Sounds like the Texas contingent has Crenshaw, which is great. And I know we've got some strong advocates in Susan and Heather, and our affiliate there in Indiana with Pence. I know Jen Worden, who's not here today, has been shadowing Neil Dunn's office every 2 weeks for the last 2 years. And Maria, thank you. Indiana Alliance is going to follow up. Georgia, I know there's been a strong advocacy push in Georgia, but if there's anybody else in Georgia who would be willing to reach out to Buddy Carter, that would be a good one. The CBO score will be important there, and important with all of these. If you would like the name of the health staffer or email address of the health staffer, please, and definitely not stalking, shadowing, correct, Carl. if you would like the email address of the health staffer for any of these folks, please do reach out to Chris. He can get that to you. Anybody from Virginia on the call now? We can follow up with the
Yes.
affiliate. Oh,
Yes.
yes.
I'm in
Yeah.
Virginia. I couldn't get unmuted fast enough.
Kate. Kate and Tom and
Okay.
Chris.
We also have Liz McHugh on the call.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, that's great. And my daughter is calling me, as she would at this time of day. All right, so that's our call to action. On the minority side, these are also very important, but because we're skewing so heavily on the DIM side, it is still important to meet with and get support from these folks. Of note, Lisa Blunt Rochester and Kim Schreier have already signed on. I'm trying to think of who else might have on this list already, Chris. If you're more up to speed with that than I am.
I believe did Cardenas, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. But it would be important to meet with them again anyway, because now we're asking for them to push it on committee. We want to get a markup in committee. So the ask for the committee members is we want co-sponsorship and markup in committee for the FASD Respect Act. So, all right. I'm going to stop share and move again. So Susan and I are also headed back to DC, and we are going to carpet the Hill on the 7th and 8th. I know some of you, if you're participating in the AUCD conference in DC, you'll be there right around that same time, and I know we'll be doing some Hill visits. If it's helpful or useful at all to have Susan and I join you on any of those Hill visits when you are meeting with maybe some of those key members of Congress, please let me know. We're happy to go along with you, or if you would like some materials to take to the take with you to the Hill for that. Obviously, we don't want to take over for the priorities that you'll be advocating for on the Hill for the AOCD and the LIN programs. Those are very important, and we don't want to mess with that at all. But if you would like materials or information to take with you, please reach out and let us know, and we'll make sure you have that available to you to take to the Hill. Especially those of you that are part of the LIN special interest group on FASD. So with all of that having been said, let's see, you share. I think we're ready for another pep talk.
I learned we all need a pep talk.
I think we all need a pep talk.
I think we all need a pep talk.
You! We need you. Now, I'm not trying to sound needy, but I'm just saying, we need you. We need every voice. Little voices, shaky voices, any voice looking to spread love. We need the young, we need the people who might have forgotten what it's like to be young. We need the hopeful, we need the hopeless, the usual, and the unusual, because we can't handle any more business as usual. We posted a video on the internet. Brad wrote a pep talk, well, because he needed a pep talk. Now I know what it's like to need a pep talk, so I delivered it. We put it online and realized lots of other people need a pep talk. Teachers, parents, kids, Beyonce, people who aren't Beyonce, more people than I even knew existed. There are people all around you who need reminding. To laugh. To dance. We can remind each other of all the reasons there are to dance. And there's lots of reasons to dance. I mean, if you're looking for them. So look for them. Because your dance moves, they're needed. Even if they're awkward, especially if they're awkward. Your joy, it's needed. We are little reminders to each other to stay unusual. Whether you're Michael Jordan and you were in Space Jam, or if you're just somebody who's watched Space Jam. A lot guilty. You are needed. There are people all around you who need reminding, and you can let them know. We can help each other roll on when we can't do things on our own. If this journey has taught us anything, it's taught us that. The little words created out of big love, that can go a long way. So here's to love. Here's to throwing parades for each other. Parties that cheer each other on. Wise friends to light the way. We need reminders that amazing things can happen, because they do, all the time. And one of them is you. We can brighten up every room we enter, every place we go, the entire world. But only if we take care of each other. Together, we're unstoppable. So we gotta stop stopping each other from being unstoppable. That made sense, right? What I'm trying to say is that we got too much goodness to be spread. Pep talks are nice, but they're not a one-time thing. We all need them again from time to time, because people grow. Days pass, times change, challenges come, and we all need little reminders that we're here. Reminders why we're here. The most amazing thing is the fact that we're here together right now. One chapter may be ending, but there's a whole big story that we're telling together. So we'll keep pep talking, and we hope you will too. Sometimes it'll be seen, sometimes it won't, but it always matters. Believe me, I know. Because love changes everything. So let's fill the world with it. Thank you.
You're muted.
I'm muted. Of course
You're
I am.
muted.
I think, the reason we included the pep talk videos, and as you know, we don't typically include videos like that in our policy forum. Some of you, some of us have been advocating for a very, very long time and have not seen the results that we've wanted. And you might have been advocating not just on the policy front, but in your general everyday life. And it can be exhausting. And I think that we are on the precipice of getting something really great done here for our community. And I just really want to, number one, thank you, because I know that in all of our days, we have a lot to do and a lot of things pulling us in different directions. And then number two, I want to encourage you that this is making a difference. This is helping. This is doing what we need it to do. And this process is slow and it is challenging and it is frustrating at times, but it's worthwhile. And it is definitely what we need to be doing to move things forward. Not just this, there are lots of other things we need to be doing too, but I really appreciate the commitment that you all have made to doing it. And I ask you to just keep pushing, please, because we need it. So at this point, I'm going to open up to any questions that any of you may have, because there was a lot going on there. And just see if we can support each other and figure these questions out. So Liz, I noticed you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just it might be a long answer or a very short one, but I'm wondering about the conflict or whether it's a distraction, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but just with respect to FASD, that they have the bills out for fully funding IDEA, and that's going on right now, and I'm just seems like there would be synergies here that that would happen, but I don't want to make it, I don't want to sound too naive around it. So I'm just curious what your comments are around that.
Susan, do you have some thoughts there?
Well, I guess I'm not quite sure, Liz, what you're asking. Is this, should you be supporting that bill? Of course. We know that IDEA is not fully funded. But we also know that, and this is where when Jen was doing the survey, that's something that's on the policy hopper, and that's why we're collecting the data. So I think it's, you can you can do two things at once. So I'm not sure if I understood exactly what your question was.
Well, I'm just curious about like the people that are sponsoring that and, you know, working on those bills. Wouldn't there be logic that says that they would also sponsor this, or is it like they're only focused on one thing at a time? I'm trying to understand
Right.
how Congress works, not
okay.
what we should be doing.
Totally makes sense. So
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. So
Yeah.
in the Senate, the same subcommittee that deals with health also deals with education. So there's going to be some overlap between the people working on that bill and the people who are working on our bill, because health, education, labor, and pensions is the committee of jurisdiction in the Senate, right? So yeah, you're going to have some overlap. On the House side, however, there's a totally separate committee for education than there is for health. So you're talking about different members of Congress. Now, would it be a smart idea to, you know, as we are working to support fully funding IDEA, because to Sid's point, you know, taking it back a step, if IDEA is fully funded, then there's more room in there for them to be able to maneuver and add support or training or things that we might need for the FASD community within the education system. So definitely promoting that bill. It also gives you an opening if you look up and you see that your senator or your representative is a co-sponsor of the bill on IDEA, then definitely mention that to them and talk to them when you're having your conversation about the FASD Respect Act. Talk about the educational components of that and why this bill, the FASD Respect Act, would complement the great work they're already doing in supporting fully funding IDEA. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I keep finding all these bills that Kane is a sponsor of, and that's one of them. So I'm just trying to find ways to get a yes out of that office. That's what I'm trying.
And you know, Kane has been approached many times on many levels. One of his pushbacks that we've heard in the past is that he doesn't support single issue or single disease causes, which
But that changed when he got long COVID.
Is that right?
Yes. So no, I'm not being facetious. I'm serious. That changed because he got long COVID, and then now he was a big proponent of pushing funding for long COVID. So anyway, I know you said that before, Jen, but okay, that makes sense. I'll go with that for now. Let me think about it.
There's
Well, go ahead,
there,
Carl.
there are some 428 comorbid disorders with FASD. How many does he want?
Hey, that's a very good answer, Carl. I like.
Well, yeah,
It's
Chris
not a
and I are
second.
working on getting a meeting with him. So I saw he wasn't on your 1, 2, or 3s, but we're still gonna try.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. And yeah, they don't cancel your meetings with somebody or don't not create a meeting with somebody just because they weren't on the 1, 2s, or 3s. Just really quick in the chat, and then Carl, I know you had your hand up. Laura Bousquet, yes, those are our asks on the House side. In the Senate side, we are asking to co-sponsor. So you got it in one. So if you're wondering what to ask for when you're meeting with a member of the House, particularly a member of committee, cut and paste what Laura Bousquet wrote down there in the chat, and and you're good to go. So Carl, you had your hand up.
I've said it before, and thank you for, and I'll say it again. We, as the affiliates and the advocates in the states, could not do the work that we're doing without the support of FASD United. So while you're thanking us, and I think I speak for most all of us, if not all of us, we thank you for your hard work and efforts in getting us the information and tools we need to do this work. We couldn't do this without you, just as much as you couldn't do it without us. So together we make it a formidable team.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, Carl.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Marilyn, you had a comment? Oh, you're muted, Marilyn.
I just have to comment on the pep talk because my son, who has an FAS diagnosis, was able to change his name when we went to court so we could get a state birth certificate. He changed his middle name from Vladimirovich to Michael after Michael Jordan because he loved the movie Space Jam. And I just had to throw that in because if you haven't seen it, it's Michael Jordan playing basketball with like the Looney Tunes. So anyway, so he's now Yuri Michael Brown.
Excellent. Well, and you know, that was the question. I was looking for something like a pep talk for all of us, because this is hard work. Like this is a lot of work to do. And when he talked about, you know, what is your Space Jam? This is my Space Jam. I invite you to I invite you to join me and let this be your Space Jam too. So thank you all again for joining. I know we're getting to the top of the hour. Feel free to reach out to Chris or Susan and I, Susan Ellsworth, Tom Donaldson, anybody on the FASD United team, Laura Bousquet, Kristen Erickson. We are growing, as you can tell. If you have any questions, if there's anything that we can do to support the great work you're doing in your states, let us know.
And welcome to all the new faces.
Yes, we are really glad you joined us. And if any of you are at AUCD, I will see you there for the special interest group. I'm excited to be there.
See you next month and see you in DC maybe.
Ruben, thank you. Glad you joined us.
Thanks so much, Jen.
Yeah, where are you from?
Massachusetts.
Awesome.
Yep,
And do you know Kristen and Laura?
Yes, I just started working with them this week.
I heard about you and that you're excellent. So
thank you. I don't know how much it's day 3, so I don't know how much you heard.
I heard on day 2 that you're awesome and excellent. So welcome.
I've heard the
we
same.
We haven't heard anything negative. Yeah, we haven't heard anything negative, so that's a positive.
Good start. Good fine start. Yeah, that was really great. I learned a lot. I learned a lot in that hour span. So
it gets better.
Yeah.
I got a lot of independent research to be doing in general, but definitely gonna take a bit. But thank you all. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, we do have on Wednesdays at noon Eastern, we do a policy drop-in. So it's just an open forum. So if you have questions on policy, you can just drop in, ask your questions. It's just a quick half hour every Wednesday when we don't have the policy forum. So that way, if, you know, sending an email isn't your jam, you can ask it kind of in an open forum instead. But also call us. My number's plastered all over our website. That's my direct line. Chris answers our phones at FASD United. Like, he's there. Just pick up the phone. We want to help.
Yeah, this is great. I'll definitely take you up on that drop, and I'll be in touch because I got a lot to learn, and I'm ready. So I appreciate it.
Well, welcome. Welcome. Right.
Have a great rest of your day.
Yep. Good afternoon, everybody.
Bye.